kind of like Tony said, just kind of distracting. It was probably about the right level, but distracting when you're trying. Yeah, we can hear it there.
This is 1%.
Yeah, we can hear it pretty decent on our end.
Maybe opening uh, or something, but maybe not continuously. Yeah, we got enough new stuff. I don't really. Maybe we hold off on that. It needs to be subtle. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I was planning on doing the opening and closing live. Kind of like I'm going to do a quick pass here.
Twitch just started up, Mike.
You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. So were levels okay?
Yep.
Now,
Okay.
did his music seem louder than what I had? Because it was way louder on my side.
No, it was
Well,
like the same level of his talking, pretty much.
But I'm talking about the background music that I played compared to the music he had playing.
Well, that's kind of two different things, David. That's supposed to be loud and is on the same volume level as the voice.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if mine's coming through louder for some reason.
Yeah, I'd say when you first started, it was pretty close to that volume, and then 2% was probably a good background volume. I would have said.
And that's really subtle.
So you got something in
Yeah,
here.
this is-
I'm going to take the topic that Adam, because Adam's not going to be here.
Who else are we waiting for? Hey Ashton, my name is Mike. Thanks for coming, bud.
Yes, nice to meet you, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. Now you and I are going to start out with a Q&A for 10 or so minutes. You got the script?
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as you can drop off at that point, or you can stay, or it's up to you.
Honestly, I would really like to stay, but I have a lot of doing this whole deal with like going from like 6th grade all the way to 12th in math.
Ooh.
And yeah, I got to get all that done, and barely behind at the moment because of all the WC stuff or Coke.
Okay.
It's
So we'll
That
keep
way.
you through the interview part and then the first eNASCAR news part, and then I'll get you out after that. We'll say our goodbyes and then you bail.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So
Sorry,
I guess yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask David, what level did he have? Did you have that music at that last? Yeah.
This is at 1%.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
That would be okay. Me has to be very subtle. Because we're going to be talking over it, you know. So, but let's try it there. I mean, you can keep it on continuous at that. Okay, and then I guess we're ready. So, David, you're going to hit record first. I'll hit record, then I'll go into the intros.
User in your channel started recording.
All the topics are assigned as well.
You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Chris Scales,
So,
Greg Hectus,
Hey guys.
Tony Groves,
Evening, gentlemen.
David Hall,
I thought you forgot me.
and special guest Ashton Crowder.
The
Hey, well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here, guys. Let's get into it. Ashton Crowder, thanks for coming on tonight. Let's get to know you a little bit. Of course, you are a driver in the eNASCAR Coke Series, and we're going into our second race. But before we get into all that, let's talk about how did you first hear the word iRacing, and what did you do about it?
yeah, I think it was back in either 2010 or 2011, and I was, running my old Technics, I think it's called, like NASCAR the Game things on my 360. And I looked online for like Daytona races with that, and for some reason it came up with like a Daytona 500 top split race. And I was a huge Joey Logano fan at the time, still a pretty big fan now. And I think his name was, it was John Costa. He was in a GoJoeyLogano.com car, and he won the race. So I was like, shoot, I need to do this. So I asked my grandparents and my mom. I was like, please, I'll do anything. Just get me, because I looked at the website and saw what you needed. Like, get me a wheel and pedals. Like, I'll do anything. And they got me, I forget, Driving Force GT, I think it is. And yeah, I've raced on that for a few years, and still here now, thankfully, and worked out pretty good so far.
Okay, very good. Yeah, started in 2012, and let's talk about what you're running. We're obviously running the eNASCAR series, but do you run anything else? Like, what did you do in the off season, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I ran Alan Pajari's Winter Series. It was first time running that, and had a lot of fun doing it. Able to run on the new tire model, and really get my feet wet in that. And just like really, just all of us that are running in the Coke Series, we do like NIS and like A Opens every now and again. But other than that, I just just test a lot and really just try to quote unquote waste as much time as I can on here.
All right, very good. Your overall winning percentage on your profile, 21%. Pretty good. Let's talk about your hardware setup. What do you got for wheels, pedals, monitors, VR, and any third-party software?
Yeah, I got 3 monitors. I think 2 are TVs and 1 is like an actual monitor, all different brands too. So I don't recommend that part, but I do recommend the 3 monitors, just over anything else, like pedals and beyond. The monitors are the most important by far, I think. Then an IKEA desk that I got like 3 years ago, a Derek Spears design button box on my left, and then a Thrustmaster T300 RS for a wheel. And whatever the Thrustmaster pedals are that invert, I forget the name of them, but that's what I got for that, and they work really well. Thinking about upgrading, but all of this has served me well for the past 2 or 3 years, so I feel like changing it up might not be a great idea at the moment.
Right. What is the thing about the triples? Is it the situational awareness, the peripheral vision? You can feel the people around you. What is it?
Yeah, I think it helps a lot, because like if you run like a single monitor, you kind of have to press a button to look to your left or right, and that takes more time than you really think about, and it can put you in a bad position. So if you have triples and you run a semi like far back FOV, where you're not on the windshield, you can see guys to your left and right a lot easier than you could just press the button, having it flip over. So I think that aspect helps a lot, but it's really it's a big deal on restarts. If you're running second, for example, you can't. If you're running a single monitor, you would have to press that button and look over to the guy to your left, or just purely go off the sound, and that can always have like a mental delay. But if you can have that guy's hood pins on your left with the sound, it's something you can actually connect in your mind. So I think just being able to see more is really what does it for me.
Okay, I think we need to get you matching monitors, though. So let's work on that. All right, let's shift gears. I'm going to jump around. Let's talk last season, the 2019, and I'm going to kind of tie this into one of the questions we always ask. Maybe what is your most memorable iRacing moment? I'm going to probably guess it might have been at the Darlington. Let's hear what happened.
A first-time winner, Ashton Crowder, final time at turn 4 to his first win in the eNASCAR Pekin and Freeze iRacing Series. He's got it tonight at Darlington.
Did I guess right?
Yes, you did. That man, that was by far like the most happy I've been in my whole life, I think, to this point. Short life, relatively so far. Still only 17, so we got some time to go. So hopefully we can get like a championship or something and be like 30 times happier. That would be cool. But to this point, that's the best moment that I've had on here and just life in general. It was, you know, with the season that I had last year, frankly, I didn't really do my job correctly. I wrecked a ton and it was just horrible. On my end, you know, Parker and the boys at Burton Kligerman Esports did it right, but I didn't, sadly. So to get that win was just crazy. So
Yes.
happy and so much relief.
I'm sure, yeah. So first win of the series, obviously, and up and down, like you said, you ended up P22 in points, and so looking to step it up this year, obviously. Talk a little bit about the Burton Kligerman thing. Have you met Jeff or Parker and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I met Parker. I actually met him by kind of mistake. So my mom and I went to Richmond. I think it's called Raceway now. Yeah, Richmond Raceway. Did a rebrand, and I always get confused with that. But we went to Richmond, and we were down in turn 4 watching the Xfinity race, and then I noticed a guy with like a monitor that he was holding it, and then somebody with like a really unique way to hold a microphone. I was like, I've seen that before. And then I looked a little closer, and I was like, oh, it's Parker. How about that? So I just kind of awkwardly stared at him for a little bit and watched him do his job because I find it really interesting. And then I think it was like maybe halfway through stage 1, he realized who I was, and then he came up to me, and I met him like that. But I haven't gotten the chance to meet Jeff yet. I've talked to him on the phone and stuff like that, but not in person. So hopefully we can get that done this year. It'd be really cool.
Well, absolutely. So you also had the opportunity to go to Charlotte to meet NASCAR and meet the guys. And you also had that opportunity to go to Charlotte to meet NASCAR and those iRacing guys. Tell us a little bit about that and how cool that experience was.
Yeah, that was really unique. It was a really long day. If I remember correctly, we went from, and it must have been from about 8 o'clock to 4, something like that. It's really long. Like I expected it to be a long day, but towards the end of anything you do like that, no matter how fun it is always is going to drag. That's just kind of the nature of it. But yeah, just the whole day was just packed with, taking photos with my ugly face. That's sad. But taking photos and like interviews and stuff. It's what the real life guys do, like when they go down to Daytona and so on for Fox and NBC. So being able to do that with our series, and it's still relatively small compared to what they got in real life, obviously. So for us to have the chance to do that was very cool, and just got to thank everybody at iRacing and NASCAR for that, because they're the ones that got it done for us. But it was a bit, I don't know, it kind of felt like business as usual being there for me, because I am from Charlotte, so like I go down there quite frequently. So like, I don't think I really had as like I guess as a fun experience as everybody else did, and exciting, just because like I'm from there. So just like, oh, the NASCAR Hall of Fame's there, hotel that we're staying at is here, and so on. And you already kind of know all the places, but being able to be in the NASCAR like production area just yeah, hopefully have a chance to do that again because insane. Don't really have any other words for it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was impressed. I think initially I just assumed it was for NBC and their broadcast, but it was really for iRacing and their broadcast that they're producing these in-house. And I got to say, the broadcasts have just been outstanding with the footage that you guys did in Charlotte, combined with the graphics that they're putting together, camera shots and all that, and of course the voice talent. It's just really a great package right now.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, you got the best in the business doing it out there. You got Evan Pasoko. Can't remember if Tim Terry's doing it. I really hope he is.
They got all the regular guys, so.
Yeah, and Randy, and yeah, they do a great job. But the production value this year compared to last year, like last year, I thought it was really good. They did as much as they really could. All the assets they had, they didn't really have a lot of assets last year to use, so you can't really do much. You can only make it so good. But this year they have all the tools to make it a professional grade broadcast, and they have. So, really exciting to see that.
Yeah, it is a great product to watch. So let's talk about 2020, the first Coke race, P8. That's not bad. Top 10, considering your up and down year last year. Are you happy with a P8? And what else could you have done differently to maybe even get better track position finish there?
Yeah, Daytona, for me anyways, I kind of just expect that I'll be flipped upside down at some point, or end up like 40th or something, because it's crazy anytime you race at Daytona. You know how it is. They usually wreck a lot. But for some reason, we didn't, and I'm pretty sure we went the whole way green if I remember correctly. So that was I don't want to say a huge surprise, because like everybody's professional in the got to get used to it Coke series. But yeah, P8 though I don't want to say it was a surprise, because the people that we were working with, kind of with the strategy we had planned out, like we expected to be in the 15th or like 1st to 15th range, just somewhere around there. So we were working with, it was me and Christian. We do setups on our own deal. We have like an alliance there, and then we were working with Chris Shearburn, Bobby Zielinski, and Keegan Leahy, and yeah, we kind of had this planned out where we were gonna run these really high nose cars that a lot of people had theories on, but to set the record straight now, kind of just dumped a decent amount of, I don't want to say a lot, but it dumped a good portion of drag from what we could tell off the rear, and that was enough to offset the front. So like the sim, I just don't think was prepared for that combination to happen, and that's why it worked. But we ran the cars because they were just a little bit faster, and always take any advantage you can get, I guess. I don't even know if it was really an advantage. It was really dangerous a lot of the time. You couldn't see off your front bumper, but yeah, and we ran those cars, pitted on the same lap, did this really cool swap draft strategy, and ended up getting one of us the win with Keegan. So it's crazy. That race turned out. Really happy.
It's amazing the teamwork that's involved in a Daytona win like that, especially like this situation where you guys are running a special set and you're going to try to work together because you all have the same speed, and you really had to kind of stick together.
Exactly, yeah. And to add on to that, or to answer the question of how could I have gotten better track position, looking back at it, when we came out of pit road for our final stop, I was pushing Keegan to try to get back up because I forget exactly what happened, but we had like a really bizarrely slow stop, the both of us. So I ended up coming out right behind him, and I just got on his bumper and pushed him up. Now, I decided after about a lap I was going to get down behind, I believe it was Bobby and Christian, if I remember correctly. But I shouldn't have done that. I should have stayed on the top and pushed Keegan, because it turned out a few laps later, I believe it was Nick Ottinger, was going to get to Keegan's back bumper, which would have been me, unless he took it 3 wide, which you never know how that'll work out. but ended up pushing Keegan to the lead, and that put all of us in like a really good position. But if I would have stayed last behind Keegan, I probably would have gotten second or third instead of eighth. So not a huge difference, but when the points are all tallied up at the end of the year, that could account for a lot. So yeah, but that's the only thing that would have changed.
Okay. Good finish, though. Top 10, getting out of there the way that race played out. All right, let's do some quick hits from listener questions off social media. We had a guy on Facebook, John Adams, who I think we talked about his video. He's a pro from like 10 years ago. He said, Ashton, are you ready to race me in 2021?
If he makes it in, yeah, or if I knock myself back into pro, for sure. I've watched his videos a lot in the past, actually, so racing him would be pretty cool. He's a country guy, if I remember correctly, and he wears some cool sunglasses. Man, I wish I was him with those, man.
Yeah, I think I called him the redneck sim racer or something.
Yes, sir, yeah. Yeah, I love John Adams. I don't think I've ever been able to talk to him on like TeamSpeak or Discord or anything, but been watching his videos for a long while, so racing him would be really cool, I think.
Okay, well, there you go, John. You better get in that road to pro and get it done. All right, Stacy Crowder on Twitter said, who are your heroes or biggest motivators and why?
Okay, that's my mom. That's fun. Wow, I can't believe she put in
the only real question we got.
Right?
Yeah, come on, Stacy, or what I call her Stacy. Anyways, come on, Mom. But now, well, a lot of people make fun of me for it. But so I have two. Number one, the main motivator is Justin Bieber. Sounds weird, but I've been listening to his music since I was about 8 or 9, maybe 10, and just something about the way he's gone about things and forwarded his career has really inspired me to kind of go down the same path, minus all the mistakes that he made. But thankfully, I'm younger than he is, and I can learn from him and not do them. But then the second one is Charles Leclerc in Formula One, and just the way that he kind of goes about things, where it almost seems like no matter what happens, it's always his fault. I've kind of incorporated that into my racing. So if somebody, like, there's an instance, I forgot what track it was, and I think it was in NIS, somebody came off the wall in a really bizarre way and hit me, and it damaged my car, and I'm pretty sure I wrecked the guy, or like, both of us wrecked, really. And like, it was more than likely on him, but my initial thought was, I can't believe I did that, like, I can't do that again. So like, I went back and watched it like 5 times to make sure I wouldn't be in that same position again, and basically just threw all the blame on myself so I could correct it. And it really wasn't even like my fault. So yeah, Justin Bieber and Charles Leclerc.
Okay, very good. We're going to skip on and get to the last one. I am Ricky T said, who is your doppelganger?
Okay, never really thought about that.
Justin Bieber.
But we'll go with Justin Bieber.
That's what I thought when I saw your picture.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah.
Well, there's a compliment, right?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. See, that's gonna boost my ego like so big. So I appreciate that, man.
Okay, very good. Well, Ashton, let's look at the points going into the next race here. Keegan Leahy, Nick Ottinger, Bobby Zielinski, top 3. Logan Clampett, Christian Challenger, John Gorlinski, Ray Alfala, and Ashton Crowder in 8th. So tell us real quick, what you're looking at for the next race. How's your set?
I think it's really strong. You never really know, but just off of the amount of time that we've put in it and just the overall effort, I think it'll perform really well. But that's the thing with the V7 tire. We don't really know how it's going to perform. So you have like back last year, you had like a very strong idea of how your car is going to perform in a race because you know how that tire is going to react. So for instance, if your right rear is going over 300, you know, okay, I'm probably going to die in 25 laps and have nothing to do. and I'm going to be down 2 or 3 tenths over the fastest guys. But with the V7 tire, we don't know that. So hopefully it's really good, but don't know for sure.
Yeah, I've been running Vegas Open NIS, and if you push the tire, man, you're going to pay for it at the end. Let's look at one more eNASCAR tidbit. News came in from Stuart Haas Esports. It says, it's Clint Boyer, and we got a quote from Clint Boyer about the Coke Series, and he says, iRacing is something that has come a long way. Just think about what we saw on Tuesday. That race, who would have ever thought? You have commenters and sponsors wanting to get involved, and drivers that are literally making a name for themselves sitting at home in front of the computer screen. It was a hell of a race. And it was.
Yeah.
Pretty neat to hear
Honestly,
Clint say that.
Yeah, Clint Boyer, man, one of my favorite drivers, and just incredibly smart when it well, smart about a lot of things, but when it comes to racing, that's really his bread and butter, obviously. That's what he does for a living. But yeah, just seeing how far it's progressed over the past just 3 years, really. I mean, 3-4 years. I mean, we went from 2016 was just, or 2015 was all right, and then 2016. I hate to say it, but it almost felt like it took a step back. Then 17, it got a little bit better. Then 18, it got, I would say, a step or two up. And then 2019, last year, you know, it took like a very big leap. And then this year, the races are like they're on TV, which, you know, hopefully they will be. I don't know if they are or not, but hopefully we can get a few races on TV this year, and it'll be even bigger than it was last year, and get some good eyes on it. But
yeah, we've heard the playoff races will be on NBC. So, but yeah, so it should be awesome. Yeah, it's been a exploding for sure, and we're always wanting to talk about it. Well, Ashton Crowder, thank you so much for coming on the show today. How do people follow you? Want to get involved? Do you have a Twitch, Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter, it's Ashton Crowder, just my name. And then, let's see, what is it? Instagram and Twitch are Ashton Crowder 27. So that's my socials. And then the teams, I forget what it is on Instagram. It might be Bert and Kligerman Esports, but on Twitter I know it's Bert Klig Esports. So a little bit bizarre, to be fair, but that is their Twitter, and go follow that. You know, follow my Twitter, not Logan's, and hopefully we can, you know, explode on the old Twitter sphere and be as big time as my teammate one day.
Okay, very good. Ashton Crowder, thank you so much for coming on our show, and you're welcome back anytime. Good luck on the next race.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, with that, let's jump to news. David, iRacing new damage model for Oval.
Well, kind of just like they introduced the first tire, the V7 tire to the K&N car for the first time, they're going to do the same thing with the Oval cars. And we have a YouTube video that it's just wonderful eye candy with all kinds of neat new damage happening. And the first one you notice is the hood popping off. I can only imagine. I mean, I've kind of experienced it with my Rift just going black in the middle of a race, but imagine actually having the hood just up there when you're driving down 200 miles an hour on the track. A lot of nice, neat new features. They did want us to know that it is still a work in progress. There's crumples and scrapes and hoods that are popping, but it's still being tuned and tweaked. He wanted to note that the hood popping isn't going to happen so easily, and that happened because they were basically trying to make it happen. And also, Brian Simpson chimed in and pointed out that they can't move suspension mounting points, so there's only so much crumpling that they can do to the cars.
Man, it was impressive. I thought it looked really, really good.
Even they're saying that they can't move like certain parts of the car. Like there was some good damage displayed on the suspension parts as they had it.
I loved the one where the trunk kind of came open too, you know, and you could kind of see into the trunk, and the trunk lid's kind of flapping around.
Well, and it's nice to see, like, even like when that car was coming to a stop, the hood kind of flapped down and it kind of acted like it was supposed to.
Yeah, it just looks even, it's more immersion.
And the audio, of course, was really good, well matched. I think at the end they even had the Australian spotter saying, "You have wheel damage," kind of thing. It was kind of humorous. Well, let's keep moving. Chris Scales, we got some NIS numbers from the Daytona 500. What do we got?
The numbers are going up. That's what we got. So we have some numbers from last year's Daytona 500 versus this year. Last year, the Wednesday 9 p.m., we had 462 last year, 613 this year. Thursday afternoon, 177 last year, 325 this year. Friday night, 522 last year, 597 this year. And Sunday morning, 466 last year and 618 this year. So obviously a nice increase. I know we were talking when we raced this week that it wasn't. I mean, the numbers for last week at Daytona is one thing. We always have good numbers for Daytona, but it didn't seem like those numbers dropped all that much when we were racing this week.
Yeah, Vegas was up there too, big time compared to the first race last year, which was what, Atlanta.
Yeah, I think when our Thursday afternoon race, I'm sorry, what was that? Wednesday night. I think when I registered with 15 minutes or so to go, I think we were already at 350 registered, something like that.
Well, and if you look at these numbers in the percentage from the difference from last year, you can also see the percentage of it matches the increase of actual members that have joined iRacing, right? Like what we're at, like 110,000 to 80,000 people that was here last year. So,
right.
You see the percentage is going to go up the more you got, right?
That's right.
Well, here's something that I find kind of weird. That Thursday at 2 p.m., it almost doubled in numbers. And, you expect the Wednesday to go up because it's the first open running of the Daytona, and the other two are fairly similar jumps. But that Thursday, that's a huge jump. What do you think? Why?
Too many unemployed people?
That's when I raced. They came out to race with me. They heard Chris Gaines
Unemployed people?
People with terrible work schedules.
Oops, did I say that loud? Sorry, Chris.
Well, and a lot of that's for overseas people too. I mean, it's that's time slot is really geared for Europeans.
We see a big jump in that number, but the Friday night one stayed kind of flat, which was kind of strange. Usually that's one of the busiest ones, and that was barely higher than last year.
Well, you'd think that one would be like you're saying there, Chris, because Friday night would be the more accessible, like, because you got most people would have a Saturday off that maybe don't work. But it showed the Sunday one because of the States having a holiday and Canada having a holiday. Maybe it is up more on the Sunday one showed it more than the Friday because of people were pumped because of the 500 that they didn't get to see until Monday, I guess.
Yeah, that was the biggest day, Sunday, for fixed. Now, we don't have the numbers on fixed. This person only put together the numbers on open, but I ran Sunday night fixed, and it was huge. I think it was 800 or 900, if I remember right. But I think it was because there was no race and it rained out and everybody was looking for something to do. Well, let's keep moving. Next up, Greg, Bubba Wallace hops on the sim and walks us through a queue. And we actually have a clip of this. Let's go ahead and listen to it.
The biggest thing is obviously you want to get your speed and momentum built up. Your shift points are really big here for qualifying. Get up close to the wall here, keep your momentum built up. You're wide open the whole time around.
And that's he goes on for the whole 2 laps just like that and walks you through how to qualify at Daytona.
Yeah, and it was interesting to to go through the video. He took 2 laps to go around, and he's talking about obviously how smooth to be, right down on the line to try and get it and go through the lap. But then on his second lap, he spoke about, you know, not running full throttle in the draft when you're racing in the actual packs, and just kind of gave you some tips on how to race in a pack mentality, even though he wasn't showing being in a pack. So, you know, it was just good to see from a driver's perspective what maybe he's thinking too. Like, I know he still doesn't have a lot of restrictor plate experience, but he still has a lot of driving experience, and being part, you know, a little bit there, to see what he was saying. It was just it was a good refresher for everybody.
Yep, and that's put out by NASCAR, and they're just happen to use iRacing, of course, to get it on film there. All right, Chris, DNC caution laps have been disabled.
Yeah, this is actually a story from last week we didn't get to, but I think this is still the case where the do not count caution laps has been turned off temporarily. It was a feature they added with the last, I believe it was one of the
One of those
last
hot ones,
patch
yeah.
we had. Yeah, it was one of the hot fixes, which is going to be a big win for the dirt guys, be able to run DNC caution laps. But I guess there was a bug that would crash some of the hosted servers that were running this, so it's been turned off for now. They'll work on it, get it fixed, and we'll get it back out eventually.
Okay, Greg, Porsche Cayman GT4.
So the GT4 class is obviously expanding now. So with this new Cayman coming in to go up against the Audi, right? And you know, it's a nice addition to it. It says it's going to be coming in the March build. So Greg Hill posted that it was going to be in the March build, but it's undergoing testing right now, and he's calling it. It's a beautiful car, is what he's calling it. It's a beaut. But the art team, they had done a fantastic job on the inside and out. So they haven't really showed. They've only showed a couple pictures. So I'm wondering at some point, maybe here once the testing's done, I'm sure we'll get a quick video before the March build, hopefully showing the car off.
Okay, very good. David, the 2020 Bathurst 12-hour.
So during the weekend, we were all spending a lot of time at Daytona. There was a lot of guys also taking trips around Bathurst. Congratulations to at Slazzy, at Giannini Salvo 98, and Larry Tenvord for being the winners of the top split iRacing Bathurst 12. Or no, 24. No, it was 12, wasn't it?
12.
There's a nice little Twitter post for them. And also, Matt Malone did a nice charity race. He ran the entire race by himself, and he turned the most laps of any driver in the race and raised over $3,000, which is going towards Australia's Zoo's Wildlife Warriors. He was in the sixth split with a 3100 strength of field, and he had 3x in 12 hours.
Dang. That's getting it done. And the guy can type and read comments at the same time while driving. That's the real trick.
We also have in the show notes, if you want to look them up, some stats for the 911 as well as the GT3s.
Now, you said at Slazy won. That's Max Benecke, the guy with the highest road I rating on the service. All right, Greg, speaking of Matt Malone, what else did we see from Matt?
So I guess this is probably one of the most unique gender reveals for, I guess, Matt and his wife are expecting. And so he posted a video up where they had a blue and a pink or purplish car there.
Oh my gosh, the final lap. It's a boys. Does he got it locked up? I don't know. He's got a heck of a lead going into the
commentating the race. And you can see them both in the background in the clip. And I think it was Lime Rock anyways. But anyways, and looked like the boy was going to come through at the end there. And last corner, someone was blocking it. And then the girl car passed them right before the line. It's a pretty smart way of doing it. Like, it was just very interesting to see Matt's reaction and Samantha's reaction. It was great. So congratulations to them. And
it's a girl.
Yeah, it's a girl, and he always finds something to come up with to do stuff on here that will get people interested. So good on him.
Okay.
I think gender reveals are dumb unless you do them on iRacing just like he did, and then they're excellent.
And then they're
That's pretty
cool,
good.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
I think this is the first time we've seen this, so that's interesting. All right, we got a bunch of new series. Tony Groves, the iRacing Nürburgring Endurance Series.
Yeah, so it's an endurance series, and it'll feature 9 endurance races, each between 4 and 6 hours long on the combined Nürburgring VLN circuit. What does VLN stand for?
Something Nürburgring.
Love it. That's awesome. That was kind of what I was thinking too. Something. Love it. So drivers may participate solo or with a team, and they say they're changing things up a bit this year, trying to most accurately mimic the real-world event. And they have expanded the number of classes to 5 and the number of cars per split up to 60.
60? Awesome.
That's huge, but Nürburgring is huge, so I guess
It
why
work.
not,
That's
right?
the only track it really does work at, right? Maybe
So
Le Mans.
splits of 55.
Yeah.
They say regarding the attached qualifying, they found that this causes significant amounts of confusion to those that are newer to the service. So for 2020, the only event with unattached qualifying will be the Indy 500 special event. And the last note that we have is the VLN will be announced this week as we are finalizing the class roster. So the something has to do with this.
Do you want me to read the definition of it?
Sure.
Please.
Okay, I'm gonna butcher this, so anybody that's German. So the VLN properly is Vernandelsaldjørsnaffen Lang Streckenpol Nuremberg is an organization of motorsports club of which each host of the event of 9 race series held on Nuremberg. So it's a series of events.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Could you
Yeah,
say it
well,
again?
I'll post.
He butchered
in
it.
the notes afterwards, but it's. I think both words have a minimum of 20 letters in them, and I think it's almost every letter in the alphabet.
So let's just stick with something Nürburgring.
I like that better. Yeah.
I apologize for butchering that.
Okay, the next race, the IMSA 90 minutes at Sebring.
I smiled when I saw this one. Sebring is pretty much one of my favorite road tracks. They're running a 90-minute solo race for the TCR cars. I guess the Porsche, if it's the soon-to-arrive Porsche, I believe is going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not until March, so it's Sunday, March 15th. Registration is going to open at 12:30 Eastern time. And
Race is
the
1:30.
session will launch well, the session launches at 1. Yeah, there's between practice and an 8-minute qualify. The race will start at 1:30, 90 minutes. And like I said, it's going to have the 2 GT4 cars that are coming in, the Audi TCR, the Audi TCR as well as the Porsche GT4. So I guess those will actually count as separate classes.
But look at the prizes.
Yeah, there's some very nice prizes on here. First place, 2 VIP credentials to any 2020 IMSA event. Got to be 19 or older, and that's valid for the U.S. events. That can be exchanged for a 50th anniversary book if you can't make it or you're not of age. And then they're also sending a couple of 50th anniversary handcover books to second and third place. There's also a random participation prize that's also giving out 2 VIP credentials.
That's cool. So you get to pick which IMSA race to go to. They give you 2 tickets, and they do a random and then the winner. That is awesome.
I go to Watkins Glen.
For running a 90-minute race on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, get on it, people. Even if you don't run, just get in and try to get the random prize. That would be great.
Now, what's interesting is the 12 Hours of Sebring is also going to be going on that same weekend.
Yeah, it's all timing. They're trying to do it on the same thing as the real event. But then right after they announced the event, they did officially announce the Cayman GT4 with pictures on Twitter and whatnot.
Right, and speaking of the 12-hour, it's also that weekend, March 13th through 15th. The first time slot starting on the Saturday. Saturday at 1 a.m. or 0100 GMT, which is Friday night. And then the other one starts on Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.
So, hold on a sec, Dave. So they've obviously changed the start times for that endurance race because of daylight savings? Is that why? Because usually there would be a 9 p.m. and a 9 a.m., would it not?
So they changed it so it's the same for the Europeans.
Because that's their normal endurance thing, is they do the 9, 9, and 9.
I would just be speculating. I don't know. It's still standard time. The time, I don't think the time is switched by the 15th.
No, but because I think that's the weekend that it changes. I could be wrong though. Maybe not, or it's the weekend before.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's at 8. It's at 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. And it'll be at Sebring. You got to have that D 4.0. The sim start date will be March 13th at 9:20 a.m. in the morning. So it'll go into the night, but not too deep in the night. Attached qualifying, 8 minutes, 30 minutes warm up, 12 hours, weather dynamic. Splits by iRating, and you have to have at least 2 drivers to qualify. There's a stop and go limit starting at 50 incidents and then every other 20. No DQ, and the field size is 55. And it's the standard IMSA class cars.
Okay. Next up, a clarification from Greg West about incident limits for special events, 24 hours and 12 hours. 24 hours are going to stick with 100 incidents, and then 12 hours will be 50. And they're going to try to keep it consistent because it hasn't been consistent, but that's the plan going forward and what they determined. So it is what it is. And then Tony Groves, a Scary Trees legacy will live on.
Yeah, I know nothing of this scary tree, but I guess it got attacked by a big storm and knocked a bunch of the arm branches off. So for anybody that doesn't know, it's at a track, Snetterton. I guess it's the most popular piece of topiary. It's kind of looks like a big scary monster. It's got its arms up. Well, the arms have been lopped off due to a storm, but they live on through iRacing. They're there, and this very well protected from any kind of storms coming.
iRacing saving our short tracks and our shrubs.
Now, I kind of take this as a track announcement. Snetterton, I don't think, is in iRacing, and this is confirmation that it will be. I think they must have scanned it. Or they're planning on scanning it. I don't know. Or they scanned it because now the tree's gone. So Greg Hill from iRacing said this legacy will live on, and he posted a picture of the tree from iRacing. So maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know that we have Snetterton. I've never heard that. Anybody?
Nope.
I just kind of assumed it was already there. If it doesn't have an oval and has right turns in it, man, I'm so dumb to that.
Yeah, we all are.
I don't remember ever. I run a lot of road courses, so I don't remember that one.
Well, see, David hasn't even heard of it, so there, it doesn't. It's not there.
It
so
doesn't exist.
Yeah, if David hasn't heard it, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Okay, let's keep moving. Chris Scales, AI settings to have no more 3 wide nose to tail pack stuff.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool one. You actually told me about this a few days ago, and I tried it yesterday. This is, if anybody's tried the AI at Daytona or Talladega, they probably had experience similar to what we did, where all the cars are just nose to tail in 3 lines. You can't move, you can't do anything, you're just stuck in a lane. Well, this YouTuber, let me get his name up here real quick.
SimSpot.
Yeah, it was SimSpot. He put together a 5-minute video on how you can set up your AI to make them race more realistically. And it's just a few tweaks that you can do when you're setting it up. Takes a few minutes, and save those settings, and they'll be good to go from then on out. And man, does it make a difference. I mean, it's so much more fun.
It is. It is a blast now. I can't tell you how much more fun this is. And I was just getting repetitions. It was still Daytona 500 week. I was doing this AI, and I was doing standing starts, so I didn't have to go through a full, 1 lap, pace lap. We were doing standing starts. I'd get up to speed. These guys are moving all over the track. It's just like NIS. It felt very realistic. And so the settings that you change, you're like, you put the level of experience at like 0, and then you put the age at 99 years old. And you put the wind at the highest wind, and you do all this stuff to make it like as hard like you're driving the worst driver you could possibly make, and it works.
Yeah, but it's just something weird, and it's not as crazy as it sounds. It's just kind of something with that plate racing, I think, where you have to make them a little bit more unpredictable, or it'll just stay in that line.
Well, iRacing did a good job on the pack racing, but it's too good of a job. If you just run like normal settings, it's just like you said, you're just stuck in the middle. There's nowhere to go. It's no fun at all. But with this, it's realistic, the way this guy has it set up. Highly recommend it. It just takes a couple minutes to set up. Okay, Greg, the Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge.
Okay, so before we get to that, we're going to have to plead our ignorance here on the road course side, because I just found Snetterton in the tracks that I haven't bought.
Oh, well, we do have it.
So it does exist on here.
There's probably like 3 dudes that love that track. They're real pissed right now.
How many people own Snetterton?
We apologize for not knowing it, but it has 3 different layouts too, so it just obviously hasn't been in circulation for... I'm guessing it's probably in circulation with the MX-5 car, which would actually lead me into the next topic, which is the MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge is back for second year, is it not? It was last year.
Yeah, I think I remember this last year. Didn't Logan Clampett win it, or he got to go to the Laguna?
Yeah, so basically, it's going to be a series of events with the MX-5 car, and it's going to go on for a little bit here. I'm trying to find the details here because my link's not opening up, but anyways, so this is the second year in a row winding through the road courses for it. It's basically that they've done this to grow people's to get to learning road courses and driving that car. So some of the things that are part of it, the prize listing, you'll get there's a $75 Rick Motec gift card for the first place, $50 for the second place, and $25 for the third place.
But you get invited to the actual MX-5 real invitation as well, and the driving experience, and the school.
That was the same thing that Matt Malone went to, was it not?
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool.
He was invited to that weekend. But so basically you get to, as a first place, you get to go invitational performance experience as well, and wheel-to-wheel competition in the licensing school. So it looks like it's going to be a good event, and try that this year when it pops up.
Now, this is a little different. If you look at the post from Kyle Hayer in the forums, this isn't like iRacing saying, hey, here's something that we putting out. This is something that Winding Road Racing is putting out in partnership with all these other companies to put this on. So it is, if you want more information, go find Kyle Hayer in the forum and check out his post. Okay, next up, Tony Groves, good explanation about why the Indy 500Q is going to be different than all the other Q events.
Yeah, Greg West posted up a response to this in the forums, and I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's perfect. And There's no sense in paraphrasing any of it. He said the Indy 500 qualifying procedures in real life allow for multiple attempts to try to bump people out of the grid on multiple different days. In an attempt to emulate that, it was decided that we would have this be the one special event a year that used unattached qualifying so racers could work on bumping their way into the main event throughout the week. With the dynamic weather system, the settings for the qualifying session and race sessions must be the same, as the community was very much against dynamic weather in qualifying sessions, as it was said to give an unfair advantage to those that go cooler weather or track temps. It required that the race itself has static weather as well. So for special events, we prefer taking advantage of our dynamic weather system, but we have made an exception for the Indy 500 per the community's request.
That's cool. So we still have bumping. You know, you bump into the Indy 500 by just running the fastest time. You know, and everyone has static weather, and you can run, you know, every 2 hours or whatever all week long until and try it a bunch of times until you get that perfect lap.
I don't get the static weather for the race though.
Well, they can't have separate from the queue can't be different than the race.
Why?
That's the way, I don't know. That's the way it's programmed.
It's obviously that, I don't know. But anyways, it's fine. Like, it's not a huge deal. I just was kind of curious that they, you know, that the race can be authentic. The qualifying, I see why it has to be, you know, static. I look forward to the Indy 500. I do really well there, so can't wait for that to come up. But that's months away.
All right, let's keep moving. Ty Majeski, a big week for him. He gets his 100th win. Let's hear it.
100 mean to you? So special, especially in a little time we've done it. My first win came in 2013. There, you know, we were kind of part-time that year. In 2014, we only had 2 wins. In 2015, you know, we really started pouring them on, and it's really cool. A testament to my entire team to be able to get 100 wins in that little of time, and just thankful for all the opportunities and all the good people that I've been around.
All right, there it is, 100. And then he gets rewarded later in the week with a sponsorship from iRacing for the truck series with Nice Motorsports. And he's going to be running for the truck championship with iRacing on the hood, guys. Huge, huge news. And well-deserved. You know, iRacing's been supporting Ty Majeski coming up through the ranks. Here he is, has another good chance at a national championship, and so happy that iRacing decides to go ahead and put the colors on the truck. And what do you guys think of the paint job, first of all? I mean, red, white, and blue, it's looking good.
Yeah, sharp-looking car. And, man, he's a fast dude. He just needs a little bit of luck. It seems like every race he's in, he gets caught up in somebody else's nonsense. Obviously, he gets it done in every other stock car with his 100 wins.
Well, congratulations to Ty Majeski. We'll certainly be watching the Truck Series this year and see how he does with the iRacing colors. I think it's a huge win for iRacing to be a sponsor on a car in the National NASCAR Series, considering everything that's going on with Coke and all that. So I'm glad to see they stepped up and spent the money. All right, David Hall, by iRating, and a cat killed someone.
Well, this guy's probably not got 100 wins. And he's definitely got some crazy unluck. Or crazy bad luck. 4 to 5 race failures due to button box disconnecting, 4 race failures due to storms, 3 due to internet failure. Then he's in a race, and he feels like he hit something with his pedals, and he thinks he hears a cat.
He has VR, by the way.
Yeah, so I can understand. He doesn't own a cat. There's some colorful language in the quote. He doesn't own a cat. He tries to apologize, hits the wall. He quickly says apologies. Then he takes his VR off. There's a cat in his room. And this cat was freaked out. So he tried to get him to calm down, but the cat kind of just jumped up and ran and then jumped back out his window. And in the process, he went from about a 1.6K iRating to a 1K through all this bad luck.
So this is why VR is dangerous, because it could have been a bigger cat. Just saying. He's just sitting there racing. Bad shit could be happening outside.
There's a leopard underneath my clutch, guys.
Yeah.
So, pro tip: if you ride in VR, don't race with your window open.
So, this is why you need to run triples rather than VR. It's
There
like
you go.
it's a public service announcement.
It's a safety
Run
risk.
VR and cats kill people.
Yeah. There you go. I like it. All right, Chris Scales. We got the 2020 World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Championship Series qualifier.
Yep, the 2020 Season 2 World of Outlaws Super Late Model Series, which begins Monday, March 9th, is the sole qualifying series for entry into the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Championship Series. The series will run as the standard Super Late Model Series during the 2020 Season 2. So basically, this works just like our Road to Pro does, but what you'll want to do if you want to qualify for the their Pro Series is just run that 12-week series
In Season 2.
this coming season. Yep, and then it's just like our Road to Pro, where it's going to take the top 20 who aren't already qualified, and it'll bump them up into the Pro Series. So if you have the I rating to do it, get out there and get it.
Even if you don't have the I rating, get out there and get it, man. Race with these guys and see how you stack up. Why not? This is a regular official series that runs every 2 hours, man. And it is actually the feeder series. I kind of like how they're using official racing as the feeder series. I do like that.
But yeah, I mean, if you're good enough, I mean, you could be running these things all week, and you know, somebody with the right set of skills could get that I rating up pretty quick and have a pretty good chance at it. You're not doomed to that one race a week for the getting that stuff up.
Okay, very good. And final story, we got a Autosport article, David, about what a Le Mans winner gets out of iRacing.
Yeah, this is an article. I can't tell if he's the writer or was just interviewed, but I gave it a good read earlier. Nick Tandy, he won outright Le Mans 24 in 2015, and he's a factory Porsche GT driver. And this is just a great article talking about how he likes to use iRacing and what it's good for. He enjoys the competitive aspect of it as well as the fun factor. He does talk about kind of the same things a lot of drivers talk about. You can't feel the car get loose the same way you can in a real car, but the biggest advantage that you get is that you can practice for thousands of hours, right? They talk a lot about it's almost a great article more for people who don't do iRacing than those who do.
Yeah, he even says, I got banned for 2 weeks once. I was racing at Iowa in Xfinity and I got turned around. Then I purposely spun as I rejoined to try to get a safety car so I could catch up.
Yeah, that he mentioned that that iRacing does police the sport very well compared to some of the other lobbies.
Yeah, and he did talk favorably about our iRating split system and how you get grouped together with your ability level, which is logged during your career. It's very well structured, he says. Lots of good stuff in there. Check it out. It's autosport.com. Don't forget, guys, we're in regular rotation now over at Performance Motorsports Network. We have some friends over there, including Jim Beaver with the Down and Dirty Show and several others, Taylor Burris and those guys. Glad to be a part of it, so check them out to listen. Let's jump to hardware, software. Tony, the G-Belt is delayed. Oh, no.
Yeah, and I know there's lots of people kind of clamoring to get their hands on this thing, but, well, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, it's being pushed back a couple of weeks. They're just waiting on a few necessary components. So
from China.
Yeah, that damn thing.
It's interesting how that's going to affect a lot of different industries because of the coronavirus, because a lot of stuff comes from China and they're certainly being affected by it. So I think this will be an ongoing story. This might not be the first time we hear something affected by it.
Well, let's just hope they hurry up and fix this virus, and we can move on with our cool friggin' do-it-yourself stuff.
Okay, Greg, we got a new product announcement. The Penguin PS Mod 1 GT wheel box.
Okay, so I've been looking through this. So it's obviously a USB steering wheel box. So basically it's a box.
Hub.
Center hub. That you can attach any rim you want to it that has the 300 millimeter in diameter to, or the hole amounts for a wheel, their specifications. Looks like they have, from the site, they have a whole bunch of them, but the one that's the new one that they're showing, they retail for $429 or $424.99 or $319.99. So what they come with, it's a 3D printed hub. It's got 12 position command coder. It's got printed button labels and commands for it. It's got, I guess, depending on which one you have, it's got there's like 6 buttons, a D-pad or a knob on them. They got paddles for shifting. It looks like an interesting design for what they got here. They got all
Simplistic.
different ones on the site.
Yeah, simplistic. It's got a cord as well. It's corded. Simplistic kind of design, but for the price at $319, I thought it was pretty good. I'm considering the crappy $350 Fanatec ones with the crappy buttons that barely work.
So the thing is how is it sitting in, like, what is it mounting to on the back? Like, to mount to an actual direct drive rim? It obviously doesn't say specifically which one you can mount them to.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen a picture of that. I haven't seen the back of
Because
it.
it doesn't look like it has anything mounting, but I guess if you could probably get a quick release, like the Podium quick release on the other side if you wanted to use like Fanatec or something like that.
All right, well, let's keep moving. We got Race Manned Simulators. Chris.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting too many details on this one that were in English, so as far as like a price or even where these things are built. But it's just another really awesome D-Box sim, complete with ground effects and everything else. Did you get much on these guys, Mike? It almost looks like they're doing events or something.
Well, they rent. You could do a reservation. It says the Raceman Simulator can be rented on our premises for a minimum of 30 minutes. If you're interested, check it out. 35 euros, it says, I think, for 30 minutes. But it's this place, and they have quite a simulator. I mean, the look of it is something, man. It really looks like a real race car cockpit kind of thing, the way they have it designed. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it, but there is a video. Check out the video on the third link, though. They got motion and everything. It's got the shocks on the back of the seat kind of look and that kind of thing. They got the slip angle on the back where the back goes left to right. Really big screens in front of the driver. Real racing seat with head wrap around. It's quite a neat setup.
So when you hit the translate this button, the language is German, so I got to imagine it's somewhere in Germany or
Yeah, I think it is Germany. Yep, and they have a Facebook page. It's called Race Manned MAND Simulators, and I went over there and liked their page, and they have some pretty cool looking sims. I'm trying to learn more about them. I don't know if they sell them or they just rent them out to events or that kind of thing. I'm still learning about it, but I love the video. Well, let's keep going. We found another beautiful piece of hardware, this time on Instagram, from Sim. It's the, at the French Sim Racer has assembled this nice wheel. It's from 3D Wrap, and he said, "I want one." And boy, it is a nice looking Formula One style wheel with a carbon fiber kind of look. It's got the monitor in the middle, dials and buttons and everything, paddles. If you go on to the website, though, 3D Wrap, and we've talked about them before, 3drap.it, they have all kinds of stuff, mods for your Logitech and Thrustmaster shifters, GT Rim add-ons. You can buy the full wheel, all kinds of spare parts and other things. But I had no idea you could print a 3D wheel and have it look that good. That's kind of what shocked me.
They're getting better and better the more people start doing this, right? Like the 3D, like you can go down their page here and they got really simple designs, and then they go up to their elaborate with the inside screen and everything, like, and you know, they're fairly priced. They're pricey, but they're really nicely designed.
550 euros for this Formula One with the display that I just clicked on here on the 3D Wrap IT website. 3D Wrap is Italian, I believe. But yeah, they're printing this stuff up, and they print it and they ship it to you, and you're 550. That's about half what some of these wheels go for.
They have a really nice F1 hybrid rim for 850 or 830 to 850, and it looks really good.
Okay, David Hall, we got a cockpit review of somebody famous, Jimmie Johnson.
Well, if you've recently listened to Jimmy talking about his retirement, he's not actually retiring. He's just kind of getting out of the 36 a week NASCAR grind. He's been talking about playing around in sports cars and Indy cars and just doing things that he wants to, and having a little bit more time to enjoy it these days. And that's looked like it's going to include iRacing a little bit. I think this may be the first time I've seen him on iRacing. But boy, this is a nice rig. He's got these giant triple screen setup and a Indy style or Formula style rig. And he's got Ally stickers on it, as well as his Twitter handle. And it's definitely a sturdy rig.
Now, I just added a link that came in late that Jimmy sent a couple hours ago from Instagram. You guys look at that one, and you'll see that his rig, he's showing off a picture of it, and it's from a company called CoolPerformance.com, racing simulators. And so I'm going to try to go to that website right now.
Yeah, I know someone posted the bottom here in the Twitter part, they want to see him do the 500, but it sounded like he was only going to focus on the road aspect. He doesn't want to get up into the speeds that they're going on ovals, but Jimmy, I could see him being more on here in the back when he gets into retirement with, learning if he's going to go and do that sports car stuff or Indy stuff.
Well, just like we talked about in that article, it's a place where you can get a ton of practice in. And, I mean, there's a reason he's a 7-time champion and can go run marathons on a race weekend. He's hardcore.
Yeah, and he found a company that provides kick-ass cockpits that we've never even heard of. CoolPerformance.com, guys. Check that out. You click on the Formula rig, which is the one he's showing in the picture, I believe. It doesn't have a price, so you know what that means.
Well, it was probably free for him.
Right, because that picture on Instagram is what paid for it. That's free advertising, right? To people like us. But look at that cockpit. I mean, the way it's designed, I don't think we've seen a design like this where, I don't know if that's wood or metal, those pieces that make up the cockpit, but they're like flat metal pieces that have been cut in a curved fashion and kind of, I don't know, it's got a real modern look to it.
It definitely limits your choices on where you're going to put the pedals, though. If you know that that's the arrangement you want to have, you're set. But it doesn't. I'm curious if it has the same level of adjustability that you get out of the 80/20 rigs.
Yeah, it doesn't look very adjustable. That's true. but maybe that's what he wants. Now he was tagging Lando Norris in all these photos, so I don't know if this means that's a rig that Lando has, or if he's just a buddy, or what.
I'm trying to find. There's no specifics on what that is made out of.
Yeah, there's no price, so that's, you know what that means.
I would be surprised if it was wood. It's probably a metal.
And what direct drive is he using?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. All right, well, let's keep moving. Chris Scales, created for personal use. Another beautiful wheel.
Yeah, this is from Simulated Motion on Instagram. And yeah, this is a Red Bull rim in all blue. I mean, it is really sharp looking.
Yeah, that kind of light blue, red blue color that's notorious for the Red Bull logo. The entire Alcantara of the wheel is in that light blue. Very colorful.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is just like a custom job or something. I can't see any place where you can get one, but man, there would be plenty of people who would want one.
Yeah, very custom, I'm sure. This guy, Simulated_Motion on Instagram, is from Poland. So,
hey, just to go back to the last one, apparently that thing is made out of high-grade aluminum that's powder-coated, that rig.
You probably have to wear those special butt shorts to make it comfortable, just like his bikes.
That's kind of like sim seats. That's what they use. It's a powder coat metal. And so I'm sure it's pretty expensive. Okay, Tony Groves, where do we stand with our iRacers Lounge Podcast Fantasy League?
Well, Daytona's down, and
so are you.
Yeah, you know what? That's okay.
Ouch.
That's
They're not any better, Chris.
okay.
I mean, I'm down there with them.
Well, here's the thing.
Way past them, actually.
The beauty part about having this fantasy league, using this format that anybody can go in and see what anybody has picked. And so I kind of peeked at some of the top guys coming out of Daytona and got very excited to see that, guys are using up some of their big names, and you can only use them 10 times during the regular season. So, you know what? That's cool. Currently, I'm sitting 6th, and that's a pretty comfortable spot for me right now. We're one race in. It's Daytona. It's a plate race. It's a crapshoot. So, use up those heavy guys in these races. I'm all for it.
That's where Tony lives. He lives in that just a little ways back until about the last race of the season when he passes you.
Yeah,
you used up all your good picks.
So you mean at the end of the race, I'll have like Landon Castle left, and
oh yeah, he's done it to me twice already.
Depends on if his ride gets bought out or not.
But
Ouch.
Just think, Chris, like you got the bonus of driving a really pretty car. That was awesome.
So this year will be different. It'll be different.
Oh, bring it on. So this thing is working out pretty well. I mean, we've got looks like we've got 18 people signed up. I'd love to see double that. In fact, I'm going to throw a challenge right now. If we can double this number, 18, so we get 36 people in, hanging with us, having some fun, I will come up with some kind of iRacer Lounge podcast swag to randomly give out. If you guys haven't signed up, it's not a big deal. It's just Daytona. Lots of room to make all the, make up points and throughout the season. So sign up. Come on in. NASCAR.com, the Fantasy Live, and search out iRacers Lounge Podcast Fantasy League.
What we'll do with that, Tony, with your idea there, we'll just do the iRacers Lounge hat that I have. The one that I've created.
Yeah,
Perfect.
There's a beautiful hat out there that has our logo on it. There's one. So, winner gets it.
Oh, now if that comes if that comes from Canada, I think that's got to be shipped with a bottle of maple syrup, does it not?
Oh, there we go with the maple syrup.
or apparently our national treasure Justin Bieber for Ashton Crowder.
All right, let's look at the points. In first, Team 207. Must be, I don't know who that is. Maybe a listener. Yours truly in second Res Dog in third. My iRating Sucks is in fourth.
I like to know who that is.
And Daytona number 14, fifth. And then Tony Groves iRacing is sixth. We got Samantha Scale in eighth. A couple other names. Bobby Jonas, ninth.
Your wife is beating you, Chris?
Yeah, and my boss is Dayton 14. So
Okay, he's fifth. There you go. Chris Scales, you're 12th. Who else is in here? Adam Jocelyn's down there in 16th.
I think Newman was my second highest finisher, and he did it on his lid, on fire. That was my second best guy. It was a rough race.
How does it work when the driver is being replaced by somebody? Is it just the car number then?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, I think it'll actually pop in the driver. I think it'll go by driver. So I would bet if you might get an extra Newman pick or something when he comes back, because I think it's always by driver. So I bet they would just have the driver in there, and we'd have some extra Newmans when he comes back.
Okay, let's get into race results. We'll talk NASCAR iRacing Series. Let's finish up the Daytona 500. Now, we all won. 3 of us won last week. And I don't know if I told you just how excited I was. One of the listeners asked me, well, how excited were you? Well, I went back, got on the stream, and grabbed it. Here it is.
Hell yeah, I'll take it! Yeah, I'll take it!
So, about that excited. So, yeah, it was a great win for me. Let's keep moving. Thursday fixed. I got P35. I was pushing my teammate Nick Williams. We hooked bumpers a bit. Threw me down a bit into the bottom lane. Ugh. 4 minutes optional. Did not have the energy to ride around for 4 hours, so I did not finish the race. I think the problem there, Nick forgot to change his steering ratio. He's running like 8-to-1, and he's moving all around, but I was still trying, and it just didn't work. He ended up P24. He got a piece of the first 2 cautions, but did not sustain any damage. Made it clean to lap 114, got wrecked coming into pit lane. Rode around 8 laps down to pick up a few spots. Friday Open, Nick got P33, caught up in the big one while being stuck on the high lane. Apparently, I'm a wreck magnet. People need to watch out further ahead. David Hall, you got a top 10, P10.
Yeah, I had to kind of work my way back up. I was leading, and the outside car on a restart got a bad bump and turned into me. Caused enough damage to make it just a little bit harder to keep it all the way up front.
All right, and Greg, you got wrecked out early.
You're going to start noticing a theme here, so we'll just keep going at that.
Okay. And you were streaming too, but your stream was like up 15 minutes or something. But yeah, it was pretty early.
Greg, was that one also where the wreck I got hit caused you to get wrecked out?
Yeah, David and I are not allowed to be in the same split anymore because everything he gets involved at the front because I didn't qualify. And I think I should probably start qualifying in front of David now because of what's been happening.
All right, and then I got wrecked out, going for my second win in the week. While leading, I got bumper hooked. And not just like, onto the side of the car, from behind. Like the guy pushing me was like moving back and forth on the bumper, and he caught it just right and hooked me, man. And there's not a lot you can do when they get you from behind, especially when leading. Tony Rochette, P7, nice run. Was doing okay with a little damage, staying up front, till caught up someone's spin and went to pit and fixed a minute damage and decided to rush to the bathroom, yanked on my VR headset, knocked a monitor down, and ended up down a lap and couldn't make it back up. So don't try to pee during the race.
He doesn't have any luck with anything.
But he still got a top 10. That's, imagine if he didn't have to pee, if he might have won the race.
If he doesn't have connection problems, which he's fixed, now he's his own problem.
We need to strap him into the chair. Tony Groves, you had a heck of a race and ended up P12.
Yeah, you know what? And it wasn't too bad. Like the first part of the race, it seemed like it was starting to shape up like any lower split Daytona. And man, like I was weaving through the wrecks like an Olympic slalom skier. It was the big ones came early on, and I come down to for a pit stop, and that's I was my own worst enemy there. I ended up I was trying to keep up with the guys that I was pitting with, and spun it coming off a pit road, nosed it into the wall for a bunch of damage. And while I was getting that damage fixed, the last caution came out, and we were green flag for the rest of the race, and there's just no way for me to make that stuff up. But thankfully enough guys quit out the race, and I just got a P12 through attrition.
All right, very good. Sunday Open, David Hall wrecked near the end.
Yeah, ran near the front the whole time. Then near the end, I was on the outside leading the pack, leading the outside line. The guy that was pushing me just wasn't pushing well enough. The second place car on the inside line came up a little. I moved to the right to react, and then moved back down to the left to try to get back down in a side draft, and moved down too low and caused a big wreck.
Dang, so you actually got some contact there. Take them all out, right?
Yeah, that was the big one.
Yikes. All right, Tony Rochette, P16, started third, ran good till a caution, and that damn internet crashed on me. 3 laps down, scratched, and clawed my way back to 5th on lead lap with 14 to go, and was taken out. P16. Tough race for him. I thought he had the internet fixed, but apparently not. Sunday fixed, I ran P20. I actually led probably the most laps, lap 173. Got into an accident with the chief steward. It was a racing deal, though. We just kind of came together. I looked at the replay. I was on the top lane. He was on the bottom. I maybe came down a little. He came up a little kind of thing, and we touched it. But it was too much damage to be competitive after that. So, yeah, that's Daytona. Let's move to Vegas. Wednesday Open, Williams, P19. Wrecked on the last lap. Went for a pass in turn 1 for second place, and he clipped the apron. Sent the car up slightly and tapped the car in first. Karma got me as I was right reared into the wall driving by. And then, David, you got P21.
Yeah, this race started off weird. On lap 14, I'm running on the inside, kind of coming up through the pack. I think I qualified like 7th. I'm second, and the leader is up high on the wall, and then literally warps in front of me, not turns. It's it was a strange warp. And then I went back and checked the replay. He actually disappears completely, and then my car suddenly jerks like I ran into something. Well, after he's gone from the track, that caused enough damage to make the car a little bit slow on the long run. I hung around top 8 for most of the rest of the race until near the end. Another caution. 2 guys got into it in front of me. I turned to the left. I'm all the way down on the apron. I clear both of them, but one of them hits the guy that had been driving beside me and knocks him down into me. So was able to limp it back home in 21st.
Okay. Greg, you wrecked out early. I watched your stream. It looked like you might have touched the apron.
Well, it was all part of that David's incident there. So I went back and looked at David's incident. So what happened is that guy, I don't know what it is with Las Vegas. I know years ago that used to have a problem on the backstretch. If you touch that wall and you yank it off of it, it would shoot you across the track. Well, it looked like either he got close to it and then did it, but realized what he did and did the old, was it Control F4 or whatever, to do the quick disconnect. And that's what happened. He came across David's nose. I think he thought he was going to wreck the whole field, and he hit it quickly, so he didn't. But I guess he got it, David, just a bit before he did it. And then I followed David down to the inside because I thought they were all wrecking. But I had way too much momentum to be way down on the apron, and I couldn't get it slowed up, and I came back up on the track and got rear-ended and thrown to the wall, and then meatball flag, and yep, that was my night.
Bummer. Yeah, you guys need to get in different splits. I got P11. So that means I had a first for the first week, 11th for the second week. I'm pretty happy with that. But had a good run going on the outside lane. A guy on the inside came up into me, and I slammed the wall hard after about a minute or so damage, but it was too slow to be competitive for the win. And I was running really good. That set is just awesome on the long run that we got. But I ended up with 8x on one lap, and then yikes, I was at 12x, been flirting with 14. The chief steward again, I got into contact with him. He got into the back of me when we were checking up for a wreck, and yeah, it was pretty ugly. Tony Rochette, P12, he said he stayed in top 10 all race, and even with some damage, and was taken out on the green-white checker. And then Chris, you had the best run, P3.
Yeah, it was like you said, the set was pretty awesome. I mean, you can just, it was a little tight, but you just never had to worry about it and just stayed on the throttle. Had the lead towards the end, played fuel mileage, and had a really clean race. It was a really good NIS race for the most part. We had a green flag stop, and we were just about to another green flag stop when a caution came out, and I was leading the race and hung on to it for a little while. But just got totally schooled, really, on one of the last restarts. I got out a little bit too far, and Donald Etcher, he was a little bit smarter and got a good run on me and passed me on the outside. And we had another couple cautions, got a little dirty there towards the end, and then Donald and I were on the outside, and I had a really nice run, but really no place to go with it, so I just kind of buried it in his bumper and pushed him to the win. But yeah, P3 and leading Division 3 with 0 incidents on the season, so real proud of that. So I'll just hang my hat there, and if it goes south after 2 weeks, I'll at least have that.
Yeah, first and a third, man, you're just looking good in points right now. So keep it up, man. Keep knocking on the door. All right.
Yeah, I was real quick. I was chatting with John Hammer earlier, and he said he gave the good advice to not run any more NIS this week. But I was also asked to tell him about that set because it is a public set that we're using, so it's kind of out there for everybody. And I know we want to better the community with the podcast, but I think that's something we just need to keep to ourselves for now. You know, maybe share once we have something else.
Yeah, we needed that good set, and we were better in a lot of cars out there. It made it a lot easier for sure. Thursday Open, I ran today with Nick Williams. He was in a lower split because he's lost so much iRating the last couple of weeks, so we weren't together. But I got P22, wreck magnet. None of my doing, I just couldn't seem to miss anything. It was like they were wrecking in front of me, and I would get by, but I would brush somebody, and I would get, 4X. And so anyway, I never really had a lot of damage, but at 10X, I was running third when first and second wrecked each other, and I got a piece of it when they went by. And so I ended up with my first drive-through, pass-through penalty, stop and go. Put me down 2 laps, and my experience was I know to uncheck the tires and fuel, and guess what? I did. And guess what? When I pitted, it gave me tires. I was so frustrated. So I had to sit through a 14-second tire stop and then do the 26-second penalty, and so it put me down 2 laps. Could, of course, never recover from that. Not happy with this rule. I just don't like it. I think 14 is just not enough. They need to move it higher or something. All right, and that's it for the NIS. What else do we got? That's it. Let's go into final thoughts. Chris Scales, you're up first.
Out of here for Old Bastards practice. Have a Xfinity race tomorrow night. Really excited for that one. Las Vegas, because you get rid of that giant spoiler on the back of it, and then you have a dynamic track with progressive banking and a car you have to lift. So it ought to be a lot of fun.
Chris, you got to ask them when they're going to finally let me back into that series.
Yeah, I will. I'll talk to him tonight.
All right, very good. David Hall, final thoughts.
Well, Greg, you at least have half of the name part right, correct? So,
I'm out.
Quiet crickets. Yeah, I know. I actually did run we kind of jumped over it. I did run in a hosted race. Andy Rabbits had another Snell Racing community race. We went to the Roval, and I had actually prepared a set for the Legend car, and then accidentally joined in the MX-5. So I had to run it in the MX-5. I had a set from Reddit race at some point, and ended up finishing P2. Got to do an interview and plug the podcast and everything. It was pretty fun. So another shout out to Annie and all of her videos that she's putting out. I really enjoy watching that progression.
Yeah, she's got a fun video channel. Check that out. Snail Racing. Greg Hectus, your final thought.
I don't have much to talk about this week. I got to get away from David apparently. David's not any of the problem. It's just got to get in there a little bit more. I want to, this week was kind of a weird weekend into the Monday. I'm kind of glad as a race fan that Ryan Newman was able to come through everything. So I'm thankful on that side of it. I know we didn't talk about it or anything here, but it's good to see that he was able to walk away, or eventually got to get away from that accident and stuff. So that's I felt good after that as a fan. And yeah. So if you want to just I'll be racing this Friday night. If you want to follow me, it's at you can look at our Tifosi page. All our streams are going up there now. And if you want to watch me on Twitch, you can watch it Frozen Cactus, Frozen with two O's, Cactus 2Ks, and we'll see what we can do Friday night.
Yeah, it's amazing that Ryan Newman is alive. I think that was the hardest stock car wreck I've ever seen, right in the driver's side, and so it's a miracle that he's alive, I think. And it was tough I couldn't race or do anything on that night besides check Twitter and to see what was going on. And I'm sure iRacing was very quiet because a lot of people were really waiting for those few hours trying to get news.
I hopped in a race just to keep my mind off of it for a little while, but of course I had another guy just watching Messenger and repeating every piece of information that came in over Twitter while we were racing. Since you brought it up, though, we might as well talk about it. It really is a testament to all the safety that has gone into the cars. Because if you think about that, if that wreck had happened in 2001, there's no way he survives that. I didn't think he survived it. I had, in a part of my mind, it was already prepared to deal with him being gone. And then he's alive. And what's really, really amazing about it is that there's an extra bar in the driver's compartment they call the Newman bar that he lobbied for about 5 or 6 years ago, and that probably very as well it helped. Yeah,
and that might have saved him because that's right, protecting the head area where he got hit. All right.
Well, and the craziest thing is I know, Mike, you said this in our messenger. It's, to be honest, Dale Earnhardt Sr. paid the ultimate sacrifice to better the sport. He died, which made these cars, the safety equipment, everything better. And like David said, we'd probably be plenty other people have passed away over the years if a lot of the safety stuff haven't come in, because they've had a bad accident there a couple years ago with the other 3 car with Austin Dillon going in the crowd, and nobody understood how he got out of that car so quickly. But it was such a crazy night. The team chat was going crazy trying to get updates and all that.
Yeah, it was an interesting night for the sport, and we're part of it as fans. All right, Tony Groves, final thought?
Not a whole bunch this week. I have not touched Vegas yet, and hopefully I can get a little bit of practice in before I race tomorrow night. Stay tuned to our social media. We've got a little bit of an announcement coming up. I'll just keep it at that and keep everybody waiting.
Okay, always exciting for that. Chris Scales, you had one more thought?
Yeah, real quick, back to that set we had. I usually run
Don't
VRS.
give it away.
Oh no! I usually run VRS, and it's consistently there. It's something you can grab. It's usually pretty tight, but you can. It'll be fine. It'll get you through your race. And I think a lot of other people do that if you don't have a lot of time to test a set. And those were the people that were all over the track in our races. And so you should. I mean, they got to do a little bit better than this week because it just got a lot of guys wrecked. And you should be able for a paid subscription. You should get more for your money than something you can go out and grab something that's way better and way more stable for free online.
Yeah, I've heard that from other drivers this week about the VRS set being way loose and too tough to drive.
Yeah, it was on a cool track too, so I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of news out there on the forums and people complaining that you could point them in the right direction, but that was pretty rough.
Cold track should have made it tighter.
Yeah, exactly, and it was everywhere.
I'm thinking the more, not to brag on VRS or anything, but maybe the more they've got, and their experts are busy doing their other stuff. Maybe they're not as much going into it. I haven't looked at the VRS sets to see if a lot of them are the same almost every week. If they just change a couple things or something like that, especially with the 1.5 mile tracks, right?
Oh yeah,
it kind of comes
usually,
down to. Sorry.
I was just saying, usually it's a really good value for your money. I wouldn't complain, and what they give out for free is awesome. It's just, this was bad, and you don't want people out there doing that, paying something for not having to work on a set and wrecking it.
A lot of it does
I'm glad
come
we
down
had
to,
something else.
I thought you had finished. Sorry. A lot of it does come down to which guy's doing each data pack as well, because I still have a lot of success with their road sets. But their oval sets don't do me so good.
It also comes down to, guys, you got to get out there and practice. Don't Mike Ellis it and just jump into it. You got to get out there and practice.
But that's what VRS is for. You Mike Ellison it, man.
That's right. And that's why I have a team of great drivers around me to support me with the set, so I don't have to practice. So thank you guys for that. I do appreciate it. All right, my final thoughts.
You make us look good here.
Yeah, I have other things I do. So with that being said, my final thoughts is, wow, I'm so happy to get 11th at Vegas, 1st in Daytona. I think I'm like 9th in points in Division 2. Really happy to a good start to the season. We have some great drivers on the team. We've really bolstered our how many people we have right now, and we got a good mix. So everything's hitting on all cylinders, and we're ready to go. We're going to have Taylor Burris on next week again. He's going to help us preview the Road to Pro, but he's also got a special announcement about a new Coke team effort. So we'll wait for that. And with that, we'll see you on the track. Later.
Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play, Facebook, and Twitter. See you on the track.
All right, we're clear. Title ideas.
Clear the stream as well.